What's wrong?
We need to talk about this calmly.
I only want what's best for the family.
Imagine the weight of a single decision that shatters lives forever, a choice between blood ties and the family you build. In the heart of a bustling city, where ambitions clash with emotions, one man learned the hard way that regret can be the cruelest companion. This is the story of Alex, a rising architect whose world unraveled when he chose his mother over his wife and son, and lived to regret it deeply. Alex had always been the golden child in his mother's eyes. Growing up in a modest suburban home, she had sacrificed everything for him, working double shifts as a nurse to fund his education, shielding him from his father's abandonment, and instilling in him a fierce loyalty to family. Blood is thicker than water, she'd say, her voice laced with the wisdom of hardships endured. By his mid-30s, Alex had built a thriving career, designing sleek skyscrapers that pierced the skyline of New York City. His life seemed perfect. A beautiful wife, Elena, a talented graphic designer with a laugh that could light up the darkest room, and her 5-year-old son, Jamie, whose curiosity about the world mirrored Alex's own. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Alex's mother, Victoria, now widowed and retired, had moved in with them after a minor health scare. At first, it was meant to be temporary, a few weeks to recover. Elena welcomed her with open arms, cooking her favorite meals and arranging doctor's appointments. Yet, Victoria's presence lingered like an uninvited shadow. She critiqued Elena's parenting, dismissed her career as frivolous, and constantly reminded Alex of his duties as a son. "I've given you everything," she'd whisper during their late-night talks. "Don't forget who raised you." The cracks began to show during a family dinner one autumn evening. Jamie had spilled his juice, a harmless accident, but Victoria snapped, "If you discipline him properly, this wouldn't happen." Elena, her patience fraying, retorted, "He's just a child, Victoria. Accidents happen." The argument escalated, with Victoria accusing Elena of being ungrateful and lazy. Alex, caught in the middle, sided with his mother, his voice firm. "Elena, she's right. You need to be more attentive." The hurt in Elena's eyes was palpable, but she swallowed her words, excusing herself to put Jamie to bed. As weeks turned into months, the divide deepened. Victoria's influence grew. She convinced Alex to cancel a long-planned anniversary trip, claiming she felt unwell. "Your wife can wait. Your mother won't be here forever," she said. Elena pleaded with Alex in private, her voice trembling. "We're a family too, Alex. Jamie needs us united." But Alex, torn by guilt and loyalty, brushed it off. "She's my mom, Elena. She needs me." The breaking point came on a stormy night in December. Elena had landed a major project that required her to travel to Chicago for a week. Victoria opposed it vehemently, arguing that a mother's place was at home. "If she goes, who's going to care for Jamie? Certainly not you, with your late nights at the office." Alex, exhausted from work, agreed. He confronted Elena. "You can't go. It's not fair to Mom or Jamie." Elena stared at him, tears streaming down her face. "Alex, this is my career, our future. You're choosing her over us." In the heat of the moment, Alex exploded. "Yes, I am. She's family." The words hung in the air like thunder. Elena packed her bags that night, taking Jamie with her to her sister's house. "I love you, Alex, but I can't compete with your mother," she said at the door, her voice breaking. Alex watched them leave, a knot of unease twisting in his gut. But Victoria's reassuring hand on his shoulder convinced him it was for the best. "She'll come back," she said. "They always do." Days turned into weeks without a word from Elena. Alex threw himself into work, designing a landmark building that earned him accolades. But the victory fell hollow. Victoria filled the void with her constant presence, cooking his meals, managing the household. But her conversations always circled back to her sacrifices, her loneliness. Jamie's absence gnawed at him. He missed the boys' laughter echoing through the halls, the way he'd sketched crude buildings inspired by his father's blueprints. One evening, as Alex scrolled through old photos on his phone, a notification popped up. Elena had filed for divorce. Panic surged through him. He called her repeatedly, but she didn't answer. Desperate, he drove to her sister's apartment, pounding on the door until Elena appeared, her eyes weary but resolute. "What do you want, Alex?" she asked. "I made a mistake," he pleaded. "Please come home. I can't do this without you and Jamie." Elena shook her head. "You chose, Alex. And now Jamie's asking why Daddy doesn't love us anymore." The word stabbed deeper than any knife. Alex begged for another chance, but Elena closed the door softly, leaving him in a rain-soaked hallway. Back home, Victoria greeted him with concern. "What happened, son?" Alex turned to her, his voice raw. "This is your fault. You pushed her away." For the first time, Victoria's facade cracked, revealing a flicker of guilt, but she quickly recovered. "I was only looking out for you." Months passed, and the divorce proceedings dragged on. Alex fought for custody, but the court favored Elena, granting him only weekends with Jamie. The boy, once vibrant, now seemed withdrawn, his drawings filled with divided houses and stormy skies. Alex's work suffered. Clients noticed his distraction, and a major project fell through. Victoria's health declined further, her demands growing, but Alex felt trapped in a cage of his own making. One crisp spring morning, as he sat alone in his empty office, staring at a family photo on his desk, the regret hit him like a tidal wave. He realized that loyalty to his mother had blinded him to the love he'd built with Elena and Jamie. Desperate for redemption, Alex decided to confront Victoria. He found her in the living room, knitting a scarf for Jamie. "Mom, we need to talk," he began, his heart pounding. Victoria looked up, her eyes sharp. "About what?" "About how you control my life. I love you, but I can't lose my family because of it." The argument that followed was fierce, revelation spilling out. Victoria admitted her fear of being alone, her jealousy of Elena's place in Alex's heart. Tears flowed, and for the first time, they truly listened to each other. But as Alex stepped out to call Elena, hoping for a miracle, a phone call came from the hospital. Jamie had been in an accident, a minor fall at school, but Elena was there, holding his hand. Alex rushed over, his mind racing with what-ifs. Seeing Elena's exhausted face, he whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make this right." Elena sighed, glancing at their son. "It's not that simple, Alex. But maybe we can try." As Jamie stirred, smiling weakly at his father, Alex felt a glimmer of hope amid the ruins. Yet, the path to rebuilding would be long, fraught with challenges he never anticipated. Little did he know, Victoria had her own plans, ones that could either heal the family or tear it apart forever. The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and worry. Alex's shoes squeaked against the polished floor as he half ran toward room 314. Through the small window, he caught sight of Jamie first. Small body curled on the bed, left arm in a bright blue cast, face pale but calm. Elena sat beside him, stroking his hair, her own shoulders hunched with the kind of exhaustion that comes from holding everything together alone. Alex paused at the door, suddenly unsure if he had the right to enter this scene he'd helped fracture. Elena looked up. Their eyes met through the glass. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then she gave the slightest nod. He pushed the door open quietly. "Daddy." Jamie's voice was small, sleepy, but unmistakably happy. Alex crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped to his knees beside the bed. "Hey, buddy." His hand trembled as he touched the uninjured cheek. "I'm here." Jamie's good arm reached out, fingers curling into Alex's shirt. "I fell off the monkey bars." It made a big crack sound. He said almost proudly, then winced. "But the doctor said it's just a green stick fracture. That means it's not all the way broken. Cool, right?" "Very cool," Alex managed, throat tight. He glanced at Elena. "Thank you for letting me know." "I almost didn't," she said quietly. "But he asked for you 3 times on the way here." The words landed like stones. Alex swallowed hard and looked back at his son. "I'm sorry I wasn't there when it happened." Jamie shrugged his good shoulder. "It's okay. Mommy was. And now you're here too." Simple child logic. World restored because both parents occupied the same room again. A nurse came in to check vitals. While she worked, Elena stepped into the hallway. Alex followed. They stood a careful 3 feet apart, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "How bad is it really?" he asked. "Broken radius. No surgery. 6 weeks in the cast. He'll be fine." She crossed her arms. "But he's been asking about you more lately, even before today." Alex nodded, staring at the scuffed toes of his shoes. "I've been trying to call. Text. I sent the birthday gift last month, the Lego architecture set. I know. He loves it. Built the Burj Khalifa twice already." A ghost of a smile touched her lips and vanished. "He keeps the instruction booklet on his nightstand. Says it's from you, so he has to keep it safe." Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. "I talked to Mom," Alex finally offered. Really talked. "I told her she can't live with me anymore, that I'm selling the house, that I need space to figure out how to be a better husband and father." Elena's eyebrows lifted slightly. "And how did that go?" "Predictably terrible at first. Screaming, tears, the whole performance. But then she cried, really cried. Said she was terrified of being alone, that she thought if she held on tight enough, I'd never leave her like Dad did." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I told her I love her, but I can't keep paying for her fear with my marriage. She's moving into assisted living next month. I found a nice place near the river. She hates the idea, but she agreed." Elena studied him for a long moment. "That's progress." "It's a start." He took a half step closer. "Elena, I don't expect forgiveness today, or next week, or even next year. But I want to earn back the right to be in your lives. Not as a visitor, as family." She looked away, toward the window where rain had begun tapping the glass. "I spent months being so angry I could barely breathe. Then I spent months being sad. Now I'm mostly just tired. And Jamie needs his dad. That part isn't negotiable. I know. I'm not promising anything," she continued, voice low. "We're not getting back together tomorrow, or next month. Maybe not ever. But I won't keep him from you. And if you're serious about changing, about actually choosing us when it's hard, then we can try co-parenting. Properly. Therapy. Clear boundaries. No more last-minute cancellations because Victoria has a headache." Alex felt something loosen in his chest. Small, fragile, but real. "I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy. Parenting classes. Whatever you need." Elena finally met his eyes again. "Then start by being here every weekend like the custody agreement says. No excuses. And when he asks why we don't live together anymore, tell him the truth, in age-appropriate words. He deserved that much." "I will." She nodded once, decisive. "Okay, you can stay until visiting hours end. He'll like that." Back in the room, Jamie had fallen asleep, small snores puffing past slightly parted lips. Alex pulled the second chair close and sat beside Elena. They didn't speak much. They simply watched their son breathe, the cast glowing faintly blue under the bedside lamp. When the nurse announced the end of visiting hours, Alex stood reluctantly. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said. "After work, if that's okay." Elena hesitated, then gave a small nod. "He has occupational therapy at 4. You can meet us there." Alex felt the words like a gift he didn't deserve. "Thank you." As he walked down the corridor, rain drumming harder against the windows, his phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "I packed 2 boxes today. The small lamp you always liked is in the first one. Please don't hate me." He stared at the message for a long time before typing back. "I don't hate you, Mom. I love you, but I'm choosing differently now." He hit send, pocketed the phone, and stepped into the elevator. Outside, the city glittered wet and restless under sodium streetlights. Alex stood beneath the hospital awning, letting raindrops bounce off his shoes, breathing the cold, clean smell of winter storm. For the first time in almost 2 years, he felt something dangerously close to hope. But hope, he was learning, was only the beginning of the work. The real test would come the quiet moments. When Victoria called crying at midnight, when Jamie asked why Grandpa left and Grandma was scared, When Elena looked at him across the therapy waiting room and the old hurt flickered behind her eyes, he would have to choose again and again every single day. And some days, he suspected, the choice would still hurt like hell. But tonight, with Jamie's sleepy smile still warm in his memory and Elena's cautious permission echoing in his ears, Alex stepped into the rain and started walking toward the parking garage, one careful, deliberate step at a time. Months passed like pages turning a book Alex once thought was closed forever. Therapy sessions became the new rhythm of his life. Awkward at first, then honest, then healing. He showed up every Saturday morning at Elena's apartment with coffee and Jamie's favorite blueberry muffins. No grand gestures, no promises he couldn't keep, just presence. Steady, reliable. Jamie's cast came off in March. The boy insisted Alex be the one to sign it first with a permanent marker. Write something cool, Dad, like world's best architect or something. Alex wrote instead, to my brave builder, love always wins the hardest projects. Dad. Jamie beamed, tracing the words with his newly freed fingers. Victoria settled into her new apartment overlooking the Hudson. The first visit was tense. Polite small talk over tea, Jamie hiding behind Elena's legs. But Victoria surprised them all. She had prepared a small box of old photographs. Alex as a toddler building sandcastles, her younger self laughing in a nurse's uniform. I kept these for you, she told Jamie softly, so you know where your daddy got his talent for making things. No demands, no guilt trips, just quiet offering. It was the beginning of something fragile but real. By summer, the city heat pressed against windows, but inside Elena's apartment, the air felt lighter. One evening after a long day, Jamie fell asleep on the couch between them while they watched an old Pixar movie. Neither moved to wake him. Their shoulders touched barely. Enough. Elena spoke first, voice low. I still get scared sometimes. That the next crisis will pull you back to her. That I'll wake up and we'll be strangers again. Alex turned to her. I get scared too. Every time the phone rings and it's her number, I feel the old pull. But I remember the hospital hallway. Your eyes when you said, he asked for me 3 times. That memory is stronger now. She studied his face in the blue glow of the television. You're different. Not perfect, but different. I'm trying to be the man who deserves to sit here, he said. Not because I will win you back, though God, I do, but because Jamie deserves a father who chooses him first. And you deserve a co-parent who respects your peace. Tears shimmered but didn't fall. We're not rushing anything, she reminded him. I know. I'm okay with slow. Slow is honest. Autumn arrived with crisp air and golden leaves. They started small traditions. Sunday walks in Central Park, Jamie racing ahead to collect the reddest maple leaves. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted everything in honey and amber, Jamie tugged both their hands. Can we do this forever? He asked, looking up with those wide, trusting eyes. Alex and Elena exchanged a glance, the kind that carried years of pain and tentative hope. Maybe not forever in the same house, Elena said gently, but forever as your team? Yes, sweetheart, we promise that. Jamie grinned, satisfied, and ran ahead again, kicking up leaves like confetti. Behind him, Alex and Elena walked side by side, fingers brushing once, then linking, tentative, then firm. The city skyline rose ahead, towers Alex had helped design now catching the last light. He no longer saw them as monuments to ambition. They were reminders beautiful things could be built again, even after storms. Victoria watched from her window sometimes when they visited. She'd wave from the balcony, a small figure against the glass, smiling in a way she never had before, peaceful, released. And on quiet nights, when Jamie was asleep and the apartment hummed with the soft sounds of shared living, Alex would step onto the fire escape and look at the glittering city below. The regret still lived there, a faint scar, but it no longer defined him. It had taught him. Love isn't a single choice made in crisis. It's 1,000 small choices made in ordinary moments. Showing up when it's inconvenient. Listening when you want to defend. Letting go when holding on hurts more. He had lost much, but in the losing he had found something rarer. The courage to rebuild brick by honest brick. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, then faded. The city breathed on, vast and indifferent, while in one small corner of it, a family, fractured, mended, still becoming, held together not by perfection, but by persistence. And that, Alex knew, was the most magnificent design of all. Here, under the same sky that had once witnessed his greatest failure, he stood witness to something infinitely more powerful, redemption that arrives not with fireworks, but with quiet footsteps, repeated day after day, until the path home becomes clear again. The end of one story had become the beginning of a better one, and that truth shimmered brighter than any skyline he'd ever drawn.